On June 6, 2015, Moses Mala, a notorious South African criminal, met his untimely end in a manner as dramatic as his life had been. Known as a mastermind behind one of the most feared Rolex trafficking gangs in South Africa, Mala was having a seemingly ordinary night at a club when his fate took a lethal turn. While enjoying the company of a woman he had met that night, he was ambushed and shot multiple times. Though a friend rushed him to the hospital, his injuries were too severe, and he succumbed to the gunshot wounds. This incident marked not only the end of Mala's reign, but also the downfall of his infamous gang. The shadowy beginnings of Moses Mala. Little is known about Moses Mala's early years, but by the time he gained notoriety, he had already established himself as a formidable gangster from Alexandra, Johannesburg. Mala and his gang were feared for their audacity and ruthlessness. Their targets were primarily individuals flaunting expensive jewelry, especially Rolex watches. The gang didn't limit their criminal activities to the streets. High-end shopping malls, restaurants, and even private residences were not safe from their reach. They had a reputation for breaking into luxurious homes and stripping them of all valuables. However, their primary obsession remained Rolex watches, a status symbol among the wealthy. Moses Mala's gang had no qualms about using violence to achieve their goals. Victims who hesitated or resisted were met with deadly force. They carried firearms and were known to shoot without hesitation, reinforcing their terrifying reputation. Despite the fear they instilled, law enforcement struggled to bring them to justice due to their well-executed escape plans and apparent legal loopholes. The lavish lifestyle of a criminal kingpin. Mala was not just a gangster, he was also a flamboyant showman. Unlike many criminals who attempt to keep a low profile, he flaunted his wealth openly. He was often seen in designer clothing, driving high-end vehicles, and living in opulence. Among his prized possessions were a Harley-Davidson motorbike, a jet ski, and a Mercedes-Benz. His grand mansion, located in an exclusive neighborhood, was secured with high-tech surveillance systems, high fences, and CCTV cameras, making it a veritable fortress. On social media, he unapologetically displayed his wealth, often posing with gold-plated firearms, both a symbol of his power and his constant need for protection. His over-the-top lifestyle was proof of how lucrative crime had been for him, but it also painted a target on his back. The law finally catches up. Moses Mala and his gang were eventually apprehended by law enforcement, charged with multiple burglaries and violent robberies. However, the arrest did not immediately lead to a conviction. Due to procedural errors on the part of the police, they were released. South African law mandates that suspects be arraigned within 48 hours of their arrest, but the authorities failed to meet this requirement. Consequently, the magistrate had no choice but to let them go. This turn of events fueled rumors that Mala had influential connections within the police force. However, the magistrate clarified that his release had nothing to do with corruption, but rather a legal technicality. Still, the authorities were determined not to let him slip through their fingers again. Shortly after his release, he and his gang were arrested again, this time with substantial evidence against them. Police investigations led to the recovery of stolen items worth millions. Among the seized goods were Rolex watches, diamond rings, designer sunglasses, and high-end electronics, including multiple plasma televisions. Additionally, 4 unlicensed pistols were found in their possession, strengthening the case against them. Despite the overwhelming evidence, Mala and his associates were granted bail once again. Mala's fatal mistake. A wiser criminal might have used the opportunity to lay low, but Moses Mala was anything but cautious. Instead of disappearing into the shadows, he chose to celebrate his newfound freedom by partying at an upscale club in Marlborough. The night started as any other drinks, music, and the company of an attractive woman. However, this woman was not alone. She had arrived at the club with another man. Despite this, Mala struck up a conversation with her, and she seemed intrigued. She gradually shifted her attention from her date to Mala, completely ignoring the man she had come with. This led to a heated exchange between the two men. The woman's date, feeling disrespected, eventually left the club, but not before ensuring that Mala would pay for his actions. The execution of a crime lord. Hours later, as Moses Mala sat in his luxury car outside a popular Johannesburg nightclub, he was reveling in his newfound conquest, laughing and sipping on an expensive bottle of champagne. The neon lights of the club flickered against the glossy finish of his high-end vehicle as music and chatter filled the air. However, the celebration was cut short when a shadowy figure emerged from the darkness, moving with chilling precision. Without hesitation, the assassin raised a semi-automatic pistol, and fired multiple shots into the car, hitting Mala 10 times in the chest at point-blank range. The deafening sound of gunfire sent shockwaves through the area, causing clubgoers to scream and scatter in terror. The woman beside Mala, miraculously unharmed, bolted from the car and ran back into the club, frantically alerting the security. Meanwhile, one of Mala's closest associates, sensing something was wrong, rushed outside and found his friend slumped over the steering wheel, blood soaking his designer suit. In a desperate attempt to save his life, he pulled Mala from the wrecked leather seat and drove him at breakneck speed to the nearest hospital. But by the time they arrived at the medical facility, it was too late. Moses Mala, the notorious crime lord, was pronounced dead on arrival, his body riddled with bullets. The mystery behind the murder. The circumstances surrounding Mala's death remain shrouded in mystery, fueling endless speculation and debate. Theories about the execution range from revenge killings by rival gangs to meticulously orchestrated hits by law enforcement or high-ranking figures in the criminal underworld. Some believe he had double-crossed a dangerous faction within his circle, while others point to his reckless lifestyle, his tendency to steal women from powerful men, flaunt his wealth, and make enemies without concern. It was no secret that Mala had stepped on many toes, particularly in the illicit trade of high-end watches and luxury goods. Johannesburg's underworld was rife with turf wars, and Mala's aggressive rise to power had undoubtedly upset many. Some even whisper that law enforcement officers, tired of his continued evasion of justice, may have sanctioned an unofficial hit on him. Despite extensive police investigations and forensic analysis, the assassin was never identified, leaving the case unsolved. CCTV footage from the area captured only a blurry figure, and witnesses either refused to speak or simply vanished. Over the years, rumors have persisted, but without concrete evidence, the truth remains elusive, forever buried in the shadows of the city's criminal past. A gangster's farewell. Although he was a criminal, Moses Mala's funeral was anything but modest. Hundreds of people attended, and the procession was marked by displays of extravagant wealth. High-end luxury cars filled the streets, forming a convoy that stretched for miles. Bikers carrying white flags bearing the inscription "Rip Moses" led the way as his remains were transported from Alexandria to West Park Cemetery. His funeral was a testament to the duality of his life. While many viewed him as a violent criminal, others remembered him as a generous friend. One mourner described him as a humble man who always helped those in need, while another refrained from passing judgment, stating, "I don't know his reasons for doing what he did, but he was a lovable person." Despite the fanfare surrounding his funeral, Mala's death left a void in Johannesburg's criminal underworld. Initially, Rolex robberies declined, but it was only a temporary reprieve. Other gangs quickly rose to take his place, and the cycle of crime continued. The legacy of a crime lord. Moses Mala's death serves as a cautionary tale about the fleeting nature of power in the criminal world. His life was one of excess, danger, and inevitable downfall. He lived by the gun, and unsurprisingly, died by it. Though his legacy remains in the annals of South African crime history, his fate is a grim reminder that crime, no matter how lucrative, comes with an expiration date. The story of Moses Mala is one of ambition, crime, and betrayal. It highlights the dark underbelly of organized crime and the high price that comes with it. His death may have been the end of an era, but the underworld he thrived in remains as alive as ever. For those who enjoy riveting crime stories, this is just one of many. Stay tuned for more untold tales from the shadows of history. And if you found this piece captivating, don't forget to like, share, and leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts.